Hey guys, welcome to our first episode of Happy Hour in Houses with Jess and Kelly. We are so excited you're tuning in today.
We're so excited to have a super special guest with us today. We have Gwynne Keller from Steel Magnolias Staging joining us. And Gwynne, we're so happy to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here to talk all things staging.
Yay! So exciting.
Awesome.
We are so excited that you're here with us. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you got into interior design or staging?
Absolutely. I would love to. I am a native Floridian, born and raised, grew up in Jacksonville, Florida.
Ooh.
Yes. Graduated from University of North Florida. My dad did not let me go far. Smart decision.
Nice.
I actually graduated with a degree in sociology and social work.
Oh.
And I've lived in Ormond Beach, Florida for about 18 years. And I was a social worker in long-term care facilities for a while. And then I stayed home with my kids when they were young. And then fast forward, decided to make a change. And I got into the real estate world thinking I'm just going to do real estate. And simultaneously just found this I was introduced to home staging, and I fell in love with it. And not only became my passion, but it unlocked a gift that I didn't even realize that I had.
Aww.
And then it made me think back about my life, and I was introduced to the concepts. So my mom owned a clothing store in Atlantic Beach in Jacksonville and for years. And so I realized that I was introduced to visual merchandising and making, setups and vignettes and the store look its best. And then from there, I always loved setting up a scene for a party. And I was kind of just always known for that. But I never thought for myself this could be a career choice. So that happened about 8 years ago, and started staging. And then about 3.5 years ago, I went out on my own and started Steel Magnolia Staging.
So exciting.
And yes, it was terrifying but exhilarating. And I remember my very first under Steel Magnolias, my one house. It was a beachside bungalow, and that was it. And then today, I have 21 homes staged at one time.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
amazing,
It's
Gwynne.
it's been a learning journey for sure. But I absolutely love it. I love being part of the process for sellers and understanding okay, this is their goal, and being able to help them get to that goal by making their home look in its best light and put the best first impression out there.
Absolutely. I got to say, that's one of my favorite things about real estate, too, is kind of the design aspect.
Yes.
It's sometimes, I know when you're out showing homes to customers, I kind of feel like I have that gift of vision, because we do have those customers where they literally cannot see past.
Yes.
Maybe the house is cluttered, or this is going on, or there's a wall, and I could be like, oh, but wait, you could do this or that. So that really is one of my favorite parts about real estate is kind of the design.
That's very
Definitely.
true. And I feel like we've used your services too, Gwynne, for things like helping people manage the flow of their home, or maybe just tweaking small things that, how when you live there all the time, you maybe don't realize,
Yes.
your television's in front of the lake view, or, all those things that the average person doesn't think about when they're living there, but you guys have a good understanding of how to make it flow right, so that people feel, oh my gosh, this home is so organized. And
yeah, and it can be simple things like on occupied homes. I'll do consultations like you talked about, and just removing some of the pieces so it opens up the space, natural flow. Being the bad guy that says, okay, we need to pack up all those collections. Your goal is to move the house, right? So let's go ahead and get ahead of, packing up those things. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I think my sellers had the hardest time with, we kind of rearranged their flow a little bit, and we moved the TV and sort of the overstuffed recliners, and they came home and they're like, wait, where are our overstuffed recliners? And we're like, they'll be back. They're still here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess a good question is, maybe what's the difference between staging maybe and interior design?
Yes, that is a great question. So home staging is essentially a marketing tool for real estate to make a home, whether it's a new build, a rebuild, or a resell, look in its best light, showcase some of the features, and sometimes you're detracting from maybe some of the perceived negatives, some little eyesores that might exist that can't go away, but by providing this visual for buyers when they walk through those doors of the potential of what it could be, or especially on a new build, I mean, it really essentially looks like a model home,
Yeah.
but it's inviting, it's warmth, right? So home staging is just one of those tools for sellers and realtors to use to their advantage to make the best first impression. And I always say, do it from the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
why not, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good
then
Great point.
so but behind home staging, we definitely use design concepts, interior design concepts. So we're looking at the architectural style of a home, the aesthetic of a home. When I preview a property, I'm looking at the colors, the flooring, even the fixtures, and I use all of that to create a color palette to figure out what type of furniture. Is it going to be modern furniture, more transitional style furniture, and the different textures, how to pull it all together. So there is interior design within it.
Yeah.
Now interior design for a homeowner. So that is a whole different animal than
Yeah.
home staging.
Yeah.
Because with interior design, we have more of the homeowner's input, taking in consideration their lifestyle, their functionality, right? Where they are in their phase of life,
Yeah.
and maybe what they have a vision for their home, but they can't quite execute it, and we help them get to that goal.
Such a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interior design, it's a lot more involved, and there's going to be typically a longer process, where home staging, as long as I have a week or 2 weeks notice, I can execute home staging, and I'll have a day or day and a half that I need to execute it, and it's done, and it's my design, and so it's that comes obviously at a lower price point than an interior design job is so much more involved. So that's going to be a higher price point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to segue into asking you, is there a way that someone can stage a home on a budget, or is that something they should take into account? Sort of, what is your budget for this activity? And is there
Sure.
sort of a scale that you use to determine what they would need to do to be effective?
Well, yes, and I get that question a lot. Like, well, we have a budget, and so I will always offer a proposal that has different options. And so if they can only just do the living and the dining, that's the most important. And so we can put that money towards that. If they can't go to the extent of bringing in a furniture package, I actually kind of encourage realtors to perhaps just have a small bag of tricks, so to speak, of doing a mini staging where you can just soften the photos, and it's just bringing in like flowers and maybe some artwork, some pieces of artwork, and
I've seen that a lot more lately too.
and and
pillows
especially on
and
like
things.
lower price point homes, maybe they can't afford a furniture package, and so that but I would say I always do different options. The first would be living and dining areas, and so that is I think that's an affordable middle of the road kind of budget friendly staging option. Now there is out there, I don't do this, but there is out there virtual staging. I think that it's a good option for somebody that just has really no budget. Sometimes the realtor can incur that cost along with the photographer. I get this question a lot. Do you provide virtual staging? I particularly don't, because it just doesn't work within my model or what my mission is. My mission is truly to sell the lifestyle of, a Florida lifestyle or a high-end luxury lifestyle. So I believe that when the buyers walk through the door, they actually need to be kind of immersed in that and experience it.
Right.
They can touch it and see it and sit down on it and really feel that. But I think that, virtual staging is a good option for somebody that doesn't have really any budget. I just say be careful, because I have seen some virtual staging photos out there that like an office lamp is on an accent table on the side of a a sofa or something like that. So you just got to make sure it makes sense of what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Or the oversized
Yes.
fake tree in the corner. Yeah, just saying.
We've all seen
We've
that.
all seen that.
Yeah, and sometimes people do have that disconnect between seeing something in photos and then
Yeah.
arriving at the house and being
And be like,
like,
what
oh,
happened?
Yeah.
okay, this looks
Yeah.
different than what I thought, or then you have to
Right.
kind of get over that hurdle, right?
Sure,
Whereas if
sure.
it's staged, I guess they
Yeah.
just walk right
Walk
in
in
and
and
it
see
looks
it
like they
and-
expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know both of us have used your company. So for
Mhm.
some maybe before and afters, I know with my specific customer, it was on John Anderson, super cute house,
Yes.
fully
yes, I remember
renovated.
that.
Yes, fully
Yeah.
renovated, adorable house. I mean, and it maybe had a couple of flow challenge. I think the one bedroom was a little like trying to envision that room.
Right.
But with that particular client, I know she had it on the market with another realtor,
Mhm.
and maybe had listed it 2, possibly 3 times before I became the listing agent. And as soon as I saw the home, I instantly knew, like, okay, the reason this isn't selling is because of those few challenges.
Mhm.
And I think staging would make a huge difference. And so I had reached out to you, you put that together, you delivered it, and it made such a difference.
Mhm.
It really
And
did. Yeah.
the house was under contract in like 3 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
And it sold like
Yeah.
very quickly. And
I remember she was very happy.
Yes.
Very happy. Very happy.
yes, so was
And
I.
and you know that is another, like, for bedrooms, especially some of the older homes that they have smaller spaces. So a lot of times if it's just blank, buyers, they can't see, okay, will a king size bed fit in here or would a queen size bed
Yeah,
fit in here?
Right.
And it's interesting because when you actually put furniture in a space, the space becomes larger. It looks larger
Yeah.
than just a blank space.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's true because then you have that scale going
Right,
on, right? And you
right,
can kind
yeah.
of tell. And I know, Gwen, you did a great job on one of my listings that was perceived to be sort of dark because they had a lot of dark wood paneling.
Yes.
And your choices in furniture used a lot of glass and lighter colors and more modern style furniture. And I think it ultimately made it look lighter in there, which was really
Definitely.
an accomplishment because it was kind of otherwise kind of a closed-in space a
Mhm.
Oh
little
yeah.
bit.
Okay, so how about the difference between, I know you had mentioned like that Florida like elevated lifestyle. So what's maybe the difference between some of your luxury homes that you're staging and then, some of your more typical, standard Florida homes, I guess.
So
process.
so really the only difference would be in high-end luxury, it's typically larger, so you just need the furniture that's going to be to scale.
Yeah.
To the rooms, to the width, to the ceiling height. It's just going to be larger scale furnishings, larger scale artwork that needs to span most of the walls. And so typically that does come with a higher price tag in purchasing furniture for myself in
Sure.
the inventory. But as far as like my approach to both, whether it's a $350,000 home or a $4 million home,
Yeah.
my approach to it is the exact same. I'll put in the design elements that really talk to this home, but
The particular home.
yeah. I mean, and in luxury homes, I mean, buyers, they really do expect to see it staged like a model home. They
Right.
do expect that. And I think that sometimes if it's not, they walk in kind of with disappointment,
Right.
But, I was expecting to see this. And I've done, a furniture package where the buyers they're interested in purchasing what's in there, which I think the realtors, they like that. They like that as an option for buyers, because sometimes they're coming down from up north and they're getting rid of a lot of their dark, heavy furniture. And even if it's just to start out for the first year, they're like, okay, this makes more sense down here than that huge, dark, cherry armoire that I want to bring down.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, and I guess if you're dealing with a second home or something like that, it'd be so easy
Yeah.
for them just to start using it
Yes.
right away.
Yes,
That's a
definitely.
really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had like a success story that stands out in your mind, Gwen, as far as like maybe was like your first staging your favorite, or did you have a favorite?
Yes, we were talking about before and afters. I have a lot, but I always go back to this one. Um, and I love this couple. I'm still in just touch with them, through
Nice.
Facebook. And they had actually built their home in a neighborhood. It was an established neighborhood. They'd built it, I think, 35 years ago.
Mhm.
He actually did. He was an engineer, and I mean, as far as structurally, phenomenal. But it looked like something you'd rent up in the North Carolina mountains.
Wow.
It gave that.
Like I've seen those, like that
Yeah.
wood,
Oh yeah,
like you're going on
the
vacation
wood
and like
paneling,
yeah.
the winding staircase, and it even had this sunken fireplace living room
Oh,
area off to the side, and it had been on the market for months and months and months. And the realtor was like, "I just think you need something." Tell me, well, they've been living there for 35 plus years.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to have all their stuff, right? We're just collectors of stuff, and so there were family portraits all over, all of his accolades all over, and it looked like a log cabin too with the furnishings. And
Yeah.
so I walked it, and I'll never forget, because he's become one of my favorite people. He had
Aw.
his arms crossed, and he was just, I could feel the resistance from him, and I was like, oh boy. So I walked it with him, and I said, okay, I'm going to give you my recommendations. And I was like, we just got to bring that cool factor in, that Florida cool factor in here. So now he's like, what? Like, who is this lady? But with that sunken, I gave it this like coastal boho vibe. And
I love it.
it went
That's
under
cool.
contract in like 3 days after that. They reshot it, put it out there, did an open house. It was under contract in 3 days. And he called me and he goes, all right, you made me a believer,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
yeah, it was like my favorite, because it just needed that
Yeah.
change, and just,
Show them how cool
Some
the
sort
space
of
could really
way to
be.
freshen it up and look at it
Yeah.
a different way. That's
Love it.
really good.
yeah.
That's what we hope for, right? Is that your customer is going to be like, okay, I'm a believer. I was a skeptic, now I'm a believer.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
So Gwen, how could people get in touch with you if they'd like to use your staging and design services?
Sure. So the best way would be on my website, steelmagnoliasstaging.com. Has all my contact information. It has example projects, some before and after. And then also on Instagram, Steel Magnolia Staging, and Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yes, we're going to make sure we tag all of their social media information below. So make sure you follow. And thank you again for being here. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
This was
Gwen.
fun. Let's do it again.